In order, and we have our sensory cognizant lighting going on here, so everybody can be calm and relaxed. And let the attendants show that the committee members are all here except Mr. Euclid. And other than that, Marissa, you will...
He's on the phone. Mr. Euclid is on the phone.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask, I'm sorry about this. I forgot my hearing things today. So please use teacher voices if you have them so I can hear what you're saying. I think that helps Bill too, just judging from the times that Bill has wanted things repeated too. Anyway.
That would be helpful, yes.
I'd like to motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have our agenda. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Kristen moved, I seconded.
However that works.
Yeah.
Discussion, anyone find anything in there worth talking about? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have our minutes. Public participation. No, yet again, no public participation. We are unloved. Or we're not doing anything controversial. Maybe we should do something controversial. Discussion and next steps. Fast Academy, credit for work experience. Please, whoever wants to start.
Would you like us to just review from the beginning what we talked about last time? That we were proposing a work experience?
Not everybody has heard that, so yes.
Oh, right,
let's
okay.
do that.
Okay, so perfect. So Dr. Torres has done a really nice job, and she can share with you of calling around to different alternative programs in schools around the state to get input on the possibility of us offering a work for credit experience at our alternative program, and she can give you the details.
Okay, so like Sue said, reached out to a lot of different alternative high schools across the state, and it seems to be, a program that is enacted in all of those alternative schools. 200 hours is what is the requirement in all those schools in order to earn credit. So we really modeled and we brought like a sample of what that would look like in order to get approval from the school, to be a part of that work experience program. The 200-hour requirement for it, and also a rating to be evaluated by a supervisor of that job site. That way we're looking at attendance, the participants' willingness to learn, follow directions, take initiative in the workplace, accepting criticism, all those kind of pieces that you would look for workforce skills, and being able to get that signed off on and approved by the school.
One of the other components that we had talked about, and Amanda, please jump in and fill in the blanks, is helping at Fast Academy to coach the students about resume building and just some of the job skills that are going to help them to be successful employees, right? And
yeah, even like interview skills, things like that. Like some of our students really want to go out into the work field and get a job, and we want to really be able to help them and support them to do that. And we want to be able to also offer credit for those students that are able to meet the requirements of the program. We do have a lot of students in our program too that we're trying to kind of close some gaps for them and get them, to a really good space and to kind of build those ties between the school and that like engagement in the community. So we want to be able to provide this experience for our students.
And this is paid experience?
This would be paid experience.
Paid experience. How many hours a day would a kid probably work?
So on here, it says 200 hours for a semester.
Right.
So when you really look at that,
I think it would depend on whether it was, maybe 4 hours after school on a weekday, Saturday or Sunday might be a little bit longer of a day.
That's a lot of hours for a semester. Not an unreasonable amount if you're working, but but I'm just wondering if they can fit that in.
That seems to
And
be,
different schools do things a little bit different, like, when I talked to, Bristol Prep, this is a similar form to what they use over in Bristol for their alternative school. When I talked to like Karen Smith Academy in Southington, they didn't put that semester piece on there, that way the student had more flexibility. They also offered 1 credit versus this sample form is offering a half a credit for the 200 hours. So there is a little bit of flexibility there in terms of what we could offer. We went a little bit more stern.
this was just our draft, certainly open for discussion.
Now, would we have to run this through policy as well?
The way that it was explained to me by Mr. Wilson is that it was really just informational to the board and that we do have the right to do this and it would not have to go through policy.
That the administration has the right to do this?
Correct. And I think we got legal support on that, yes.
And what are the hours at Past Academy again?
8:30 to 1:30.
You mentioned that there would part of this program would be resume building and interview skills. I'm wondering if there will be opportunities for the students to participate in mock interviews and get feedback from the person who conducted the interview.
Yeah, we would absolutely love to do that because I think that's a really important skill for our students to have, and that's a really scary part. I know even when my oldest son went, to do his first interviews, I think that's some really important skills for our students to have and feel prepared to go out into the workforce.
We have,
I'm sorry, may I contribute?
do we have employers lined up?
So, currently, we do have some partnerships within the community right now. We've been building kind of like a job board for kids that's more informational. There's no credit attached to it. We don't currently have this program there, but we have a board for students for volunteer hours and different volunteer opportunities. And as we see job postings, we've been posting those up on the board.
But some of our students currently have jobs, right? And the thought was that, we are trying to build our program and partnerships with, the manufacturing coalition and that sort of thing to really place our kids into employment situations where there's going to be some upward mobility and some growth opportunity. But we have kids who are working, bussing tables in restaurants and that sort of thing right now, that would actually qualify for this type of thing because it's all the same type of skill, right? Attendance, punctuality, appearance, all the things that, personal interactions and that sort of thing.
Okay. Erin, you were asking a question and I jumped on.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to offer some perspective. You had a concern, Mr. Gisco, about the time. So for one semester, we're looking at a 2-hour a day, 5 days a week, or 10 hours for a school week, which is in line with what many of the students who have jobs, actually a little less than what many of the students are already doing with the kids who have jobs. So it seems to me to be in line with current practice.
I love the program, I'm all for it. I just have a question, do we think we would maybe get some backlash from the students who do not attend Fast Academy, who are going to school a full day, 7:20 to 2:20, and also holding down a job and not getting any credit for it? That's where I just have a little bit of a concern. On top of like sports and 2 or 3 hours of homework a night, and it's a lot.
So legally, we went to the attorney to ask that very question.
Did you?
And yes, and because this is something that is allowable in alternative schools. I don't know if it's something that, I know it's not common practice in comprehensive high schools in your more traditional setting, but if the committee or the board was interested, we could certainly research that if it was something that you're thinking we would offer across the board. It's really kind of geared towards the alternative student.
which is totally understandable. And again, I think the program is great and everything that you're trying to do is wonderful. I just know that we have, you know, hundreds of students at the high school who are holding down a job, going to school full-time, and also, you know, playing in sports and activities and so I just, you know.
But those students are getting their credits through the academic programs that they're in at a comprehensive high school, hours included.
Correct. They have more access to that type of thing. You know, we have, and you know this, we have we've communicated that our alternative high school students can participate fully in our extracurricular activities. Unfortunately, right now, we cannot provide transportation. It just doesn't line up. So that's something that is a little bit of a drawback. It's a wrinkle. And Amanda can speak to this better than I, and I hate to generalize, but the students who are at our alternative high school are more motivated by this than by playing a sport, perhaps.
Sure, yeah, no, I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Bill and Ellen.
The job board that you were talking about, is that something, online, or? You said.
Currently, it's not online. Currently, we have it right outside our school counselor's
Oh.
office.
So what, it's like on a blackboard or something?
On like a bulletin board, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We have all the postings.
Oh,
Back to the 200 hours. That seems to be, how many days in the semester?
So roughly like 90.
Not counting weekends? Not counting weekends.
Correct.
That's 90 school
Okay.
days, so it's like 2.2 hours a day. I didn't realize it was that many.
no, it's doable. The math works if the kid actually shows up and is scheduled for those hours. Not every
Right.
business can schedule it.
And that's the thing, I was, you know, if
Right.
they couldn't get weekend hours and they could only get, and what about the person that can only do like 180?
And we could be more flexible and not tie the semester language on there. That way, you know, if we have a kid transition into the program, you know, Q2, you know, from the high school, you know, or it takes them a little bit longer. I mean, this is just a general sample of what we could use.
But your suggestion is to go with this because you feel it's doable.
Well, I think we went with this 200 hours per semester because that's what's been modeled across the state in other alternative programs, but certainly we wouldn't have to have it per semester. I could just say 200 hours because we've already limited the number of credits that a student can earn through work experience.
If it works in other places, there's no reason to think it won't work here.
Right, and you can try it for a semester, say, or whatever, a year, and if it's
Right, and I
not
think
doable, you can always adjust it.
we could adjust it, and I think also, you know, if students are coming back and saying, hey, my employer can't give me enough hours per week for me to, you know, attain this, we can certainly make an adjustment.
So, while I can see everybody's point here about this on paper, 200 hours looks like a lot. But when you break it down, it's 2.2 hours a day, which makes perfect sense to me because they're going to school 2 hours less than the kids in the high school or the middle school. So I think that makes perfect sense to me, and I just wanted to point that out, that while I see 200 hours, and I'm like, whoa, this seems like a lot, but when you break it down, it's really actually very fair, considering THS is in school for 2 hours longer.
So, is there any reason not to pass this on to the board as recommended by this committee, or at least as having been reviewed by this committee?
I move that we do so.
Well, we need a motion to do that. You're not on.
Can you unmute Gary, who's trying to ask questions? Sorry, Josh, I just saw the text now, he sent me 4 of them in a row.
I think he's muted on his end.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go.
We
Can
can
you
hear
hear me now? Sorry, I guess I was muted. Yeah, I think you should pass it along. I was going to say the 200 hours can be achieved. I've probably had 12 kids
Scarborough's.
But I think the school is going to have to make sure the kids that I have had that were expelled, that have worked, we're going to continue supporting them with the help with the possibility of going to college or going into a trade school, or they're still going to need that help and not get lost, not assume that they're not going to go further on. Correct? I mean, this is just the work experience, because a couple of kids that I've had, they didn't receive the attention they probably should have received once they were expelled and in another program, but it went to another program. In this case, we're going to control from start to finish, correct? Meaning the same guidance help, and the same, maybe if they want to go to, another school afterwards for electrician or whatever the case may be, they'll help them with scholarships and things like that, look for scholarships, or no? Do we know?
I think he thinks it's maybe for the expelled kids.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Can you hear me or no?
Gary, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I'm trying to scream.
Yeah, we heard
Can you hear me or no?
It's really hard to hear you.
I know.
We can usually hear you loud and clear, but tonight, no. This proposal is not for expelled students. I don't know if that's what you were saying. This is for the children attending the alternative program, and we are still looking to develop job coaching skills with them and to try to place them in employment opportunities that, offer certifications and apprenticeships and all of those things. But while that's all happening, we wanted to be as closely aligned as we could with other alternative schools that are meeting with success with this type of thing. And because this is so highly motivating for the kids, it actually keeps them engaged in their academics, because that's a part of this.
No, I like it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I'm just saying, hopefully we engage from start to finish. That's all. Until they're out of the school. Help every step of the way. I like it.
He likes it.
This connection sucks.
Sorry, Gary, it's
That's
really
all.
hard to make out what you're saying.
I know.
Anyway, we have moved to send this on to the board. I mean, I'll take a vote on it if you want. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're moving it on to the board. Where the board.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye. She texted yes too, so. I got you, Gary.
Okay.
Thank
moving
you.
on. State testing results, follow-up questions and discussion. Now, I asked people to get in any questions that they had, and I don't think anyone did.
I didn't receive any, but I supplied in the packet, I put a lot more, we included a lot more information than what we had originally shared. Just some of the growth data, because as you know, the state moved to a growth model several years ago, so thought that might be of interest to the committee.
I like the glossary part of your hand. The idea that telling us what exactly these mean for those who aren't in the cognoscente, haven't had to deal with this all the time. What is growth rate? Why are we happy about the growth rate?
Yep, so full disclosure, and any member of my team, please jump in at any point. Because to be very honest with you, there are some times when I feel like I understand this very well, and then other days I'm like, I don't even know what this means. The psychometrics and the way that these things are tabulated and calculated are almost like a foreign language, truly. So there are two indicators. There's growth rate, which is defined as the percentage of students who meet or exceed their personal growth targets. So essentially it's a binary measure, it's a yes or a no. It's essentially the count of students who hit their growth target. those growth targets, it's important to know, are set by, not us, by the state, okay? They also use something called the percent of target achieved. So a target is set for each student, and then the measure is a score that shows what percentage of that target students have met. So if you're looking at, I gave you a chart that outlines all students as compared to the state of Connecticut and Torrington, right? So all fourth graders, for example, across our district, what percentage of on average of their growth target did they achieve? I know that sounds clear as mud, but that's the way it's defined and explained. And the good news is that if you look at our numbers, our growth numbers are very impressive. They're very, very impressive. We are growing in all categories. We are particularly at the early grades, and we're growing across all domains. We're growing in all our high needs areas. In fact, we are being recognized by the state for that growth in high needs, because in some cases, we're outperforming the state in those areas in terms of growth. So the kids in Torrington are demonstrating exponential growth. Mary and Gad and I were looking at it this afternoon. In some cases, 20 percentage points, right, Mary? That leaps and bounds, they're starting to take off. And we firmly believe that that is a direct result of the changes that we've made in our instructional delivery at the lowest grades to really teach those foundational skills that are necessary to start to be successful as kids get older. So we have a long way to go. There's a huge difference between achievement and growth, but we're getting there, which I think is something certainly to be happy about.
We are moving in the right direction. We aren't where we want to be.
No?
But we probably never will be nobody should ever be where they want to be. There should always be something more you can get. So we're doing fine, my assessment. Anyone else? Kristen?
These charts are amazing. Thank you. They really show a lot of information, detailed, very in-depth. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm gonna contradict myself because I tend to always say I don't put a huge amount of stock into test scores as a parent, because I just don't necessarily think that they truly measure a child's potential. Because some kids just don't do well with testing. But what I'm seeing here is just a true testament to how amazing our teachers are and how well we have invested in programs. And I mean, this is amazing. I'm really impressed, and everybody should be proud. Every single member of Torrington Public Schools should be proud of these scores. So thank you.
Well,
Bill?
thank you.
Nothing from me.
I'm going to solicit now. The agenda says I can solicit comments. Alan, I'd like to solicit any comment you might have. Okay, Mr. Putnam.
I do have a question or two, if I could. I have two questions. The target achieved, and so the goals, it says they're set not by us, these targets. Are these targets for the students? Is it individualized or just by grade or by, how do they give them a target? And if it's individualized, how do you handle giving somebody a target who rolled into the district 3 weeks before the test? Not you, but how does the state handle that? Because a lot of times our test scores have been skewed by, we live in an area with a highly transient population, which will lead to my second question. But for now, how are these targets assessed? Do you have people who get a generic target because we don't know what their performance would be? Or I guess I'm just not understanding the target aspect of it.
So I don't know the answer to that question. That's an excellent question. Do any of you?
Yes. So let's say in grade 3, they'll take SBA. So in grade 3, there are 4 achievement levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are actually split in half. So there are 8 total bands, 1 through 8. And then based on what band you are, you get a growth target. So the state defines for each grade level 8 bands, and depending on what your previous year's SBA score is, what dictates your growth target. There's one for ELA and one for math.
So one would assume then that if you were in band 2, that next year's growth target would be band 3.
Would have to be a little bit higher,
Yeah,
right?
but it wouldn't be incremental, right? You are now being targeted to be in band 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? They're not actually giving them like the smarter balance you get a numerical score. Are they targeted by numerical score, or they want you to be?
But the scale score, where you are in that band will dictate what your growth target is going to be.
Do any of you know the second part of his question, which was, what if I came from
New York.
a different, a district that, I don't know the answer to that question.
It sounds like every kid in the state in that same situation with that same index or that same indicator would have the same growth target.
But if I'm a student who hadn't taken the assessment, right, because not all states do anymore, right, so if I.
Okay, well, I don't think Jeff's talking about kids
Is that
coming
not
in
your
from out of
question?
state.
I was asking, now that I know, I knew anybody in Connecticut would, but during COVID, obviously, we had a large influx.
Oh.
So some of our data, I was just curious, more so for the past, we don't have the same influx of people coming in from a state that may not give the test. But some of our historical data, you see some of the peaks or the valleys in it, and I wonder if it's attributed to people coming in from out of state and having no base.
So they would need to test twice in state in order to get that growth value, because the first time they test is setting
It's a
what their
baseline.
growth target is for the following year.
So are they excluded from these results then if they are new?
Oh, for the growth.
For the growth.
For the growth, yes.
And
Until
well, it
we
has to be
have-
for target
yeah.
achieved too, because you wouldn't have a
Right,
target
right.
to achieve.
Right, but we would still
Test
get their achievement, right, not the growth numbers, but their performance, yes.
Sure, percentage of people.
2 questions.
The second question, sorry. The second question was, well, a couple of years ago, you guys did you pulled out a group of students who followed from grade to grade to grade. I forget what the actual technical name.
Matched cohort.
Matched or, has anybody even just looked at it out of curiosity? Because we do have that highly transient. A small percentage of our students probably make a percentage go from 3rd to 4th to 5th to 6th. It's just interesting to show what their growth looks like compared to the overall, where you have somebody coming in who may not necessarily have had the same background, same teaching along the way.
Yes, we look at that, individual teachers look at that for kids that they've had previously and along the way. I know what you're talking about. There's a matched cohort, which is as close as we can get on the state assessment. I think you're referencing a couple of years ago. We looked at, it took weeks because we had to manually pull out who we called Torrington career students and then kids who hadn't been with us for
There
the
you go.
entire
That is
time
exactly
along the
what it
way.
was.
And we did it for the SATs to see. If I'm a kid who started in kindergarten in Torrington and I'm an 11th grader and I just took the SATs, what does that cohort of students' performance look like as opposed to students who may have joined us any other year along the way? That was a very big undertaking,
Yeah,
but
I was just curious, if knowing you and your love of looking at those things, I wasn't sure if you'd kind of looked at it without making an official report, kind of looked at it and said, hey, this is, good news or otherwise.
I mean, teachers who are sitting here can speak to this, right? I mean, look from year to year, you go back and you look at your students, at their performance on these assessments over time, right? And adjust your instruction or your curriculum or whatever.
And we did in the spring just look at the cohort data for SAT from 8th grade to 11th grade and showed growth in every area. It's really heading in the direction you want to head. And some really big jumps in certain grades.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, Kristen's up again.
I'm not up, it's Gary, just want to give his comment. I asked if he had any questions. He said, no, I concur with you and John. Give teachers the ability to teach and we will get results.
And I agree with Kristen about teachers and how important they are, but we also should give a shout out to the admins. I had the chance to talk to Mr. Klein last year about, and I don't think I'd run into so much enthusiasm from an administrator about anything that and they're enthusiastic as a group. They were ready to go. It was a buzzsaw. He was very happy with what was going on with their test prep. So they're on top of it. Admins are on top of it. Teachers are on top of it. It's working. It's working. Anyone else? Last comments?
Gary agrees with you in what you just said.
Thank you, Gary. Miss you, Gary. You should be here in person. We miss you. Anyway, anyone else? Going once, going twice. Thank you, Sue, for all the work you put into this, all the information you present. You gave us was there anything you wanted to spotlight? I mean, you did spotlight some of it.
I really was most excited about the growth, you know, the achievement numbers, and we talk about this. Our student achievement numbers they're getting there, they're getting better, we're making progress every year, but they're still not where we want them to be. But when you look at growth and you look at up to 20 percentage points, you know, from one year to the next, it's very exciting. And you see, as you disaggregate the groups of students, and in the case of the kids in Torrington, where we look at our high needs students who are kids with, you know, for whom English is not their first language, who are perhaps receiving special education, who are socially, economically disadvantaged, their growth numbers are on par with everybody else's. So it's a testament, as you said, to the teachers who are working with these kids every single day. It's amazing. The only other thing I would invite anybody to, I know, John, you mentioned encouraging people to noodle around on EdSite. It's really fascinating. It's really a rabbit hole that, I mean, I could spend hours. There's so many different, you know, drop downs, and you can go here, there, and everywhere. So if anybody wants to take the time on a rainy day to do that, and even if you wanted some support with that, we would invite you to come to central office and we could do a little tutorial. We have a beautiful new conference room with a big TV screen. We could help, because it's fascinating, it really is.
And it is a rabbit hole, because you go in there to, well, okay, but I wonder about that, and that,
Yeah.
and so you can spend, they just say, good rainy day activity.
Yeah.
Good rainy day activity. Go poking around EdSite. So what do we want to do with the full board meeting? We said report to the full board in the October meeting, I think is what the expectation was.
Did we not do this at the full board? We did it in September at school improvement.
School improvement, and said that we'd run it over to this meeting, which is why we have the information we have. Last year, we presented, I still have it, this beautiful binder full of material, which is good. Your call. If you want it on the agenda, talk to.
I saw your face, you're like, I'm waking up enough.
Because I feel like we might have already done it. We didn't do this in August at the full board meeting.
August, you said that the results hadn't been.
Oh, they were
still
embargoed at the
embargoed.
last minute.
They were still embargoed.
If you would like us to bring it forward at the full board and give people these handouts to put in their binders.
Right, put this information in the packet, and then if anyone bites at it, we have half the board here today with a chance to ask questions. Actually, more than half with Gary online, so you shouldn't have too many questions.
This is great, put this,
Right.
this with the chart makes a huge difference.
Well, and we will start to try to provide more of that, just because I think it provides the context as people they know what they're looking at, right? I know that at the October board meeting, I think, Joanne, you were gonna do your EL stuff too, right, at that October board meeting, right? Yeah, Joanne has a presentation under our, OTL report because it's October, today's October 1, October 1st is a big deal in the life of the Connecticut school system. So all our numbers are kind of gelled as of today. So at the end of October, Joanne will have a nice report.
But this is good news, we should get it out. We should
Yeah.
at least have the chance to say it again, even in a very short form at
Yeah.
the October meeting.
Okay.
Gary would like to also see it sent over to the board.
Okay.
I have a second question. Quick, to use some of this data, are we starting to collect it for judging the success of benchmark and IM? Because I wasn't sure if we actually do set that aside, but you always want to look back and see that $1 million twice, right? Math and reading was $1 million. So if we look at it, do we look at this a couple of years from now? Here's the band where we had benchmark across these grades. Here's the band where I am. Are we seeing, I would expect, as we saw, the growth in ELA to be more so than the math, because we're just now bringing in the math program. I wasn't sure if you guys kept track of that as an indicator of how successful the choice was.
So the short answer is yes, but I don't know if anybody here wants to jump in.
I think we're gonna use multiple data points to look at that. We have our STAR assessment, which is given to all students 3 times a year. We have high quality common end of unit assessments to measure that along the way.
Absolutely, same thing with benchmark, we have end of unit assessments, we have our STAR assessments, so we look at all of those data, and that helps us evaluate how students are progressing.
Thank you.
Moving, last chance. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the self-evaluation process. We have talked about that. I sent it out in the packet. Last chance to say anything, otherwise we'll just do it the same way we did last year. A question mark about the date. It's October 11th, another week and a half sound reasonable to people? Do we need people to have more time, or because more time to give people something more? Well, that's true. And no one's going to complain about the 11th? Okay. Then, Sue, will you get this out, please, to the board? Or someone have Marissa put it out to the board, just that we're doing this. Still waiting to hear more questions from people. Otherwise, nobody has sent me anything that they want us to
I
evaluate.
have 3 for you.
You have 3.
I have
You
3
haven't
for
sent them yet, but
No,
you will.
You'll get
soon.
it tonight or tomorrow.
Tonight.
I do have 3 though.
Okay. So, what does it say here? Suggestions for by the 11th, and then after that, I will put together basically the same document as we did last year with whatever new concerns and questions and criteria we want, and we'll go out.
Are we ditching the extra questions from last year in favor of the new extra questions, or?
It's got to be all new. I'm not putting, if you want to suggest something we did last year, by all means do it, but tabula rasa. Tabula rasa. Anything else? 25-26 school visit schedule. Now, we have every year visited the schools, had our meetings in that school, and heard some very comprehensive reports from those schools. I think it's one of the positive things that we do. We make the school visits beforehand, et cetera, et cetera. Discussion, first of all, about do we want to keep doing that, committee?
I'm fine with school visits.
You're fine. Bill, you like that?
I do, yeah, I'm in favor of school visits.
Sue, we checked with admins a couple of years ago, and they said keep doing it. Any reason to think that would be a different answer?
No, I think everybody's always very happy to show off what's going on.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it comes down to. We hear a lot of good things about the schools and what's going on in the schools and the students and the faculty and everything else. So that brings us then to the next question of what do we want that exact schedule to look like? I got that out. November 5th, early elementary. December 3rd, intermediate school. February 4th, Torrington Middle School. March 4th, Fast Academy. And April 1st, Torrington High School. Any specifics there need to be fine-tuned?
Why no January?
Just because the school visit would have to be probably too soon before the school starts to defer the visit. That's why. So,
Just a question about, so the first one, November 5th, early elementary, so would you visit all 3 of the primary school? No, Nita Southwest. I'm confused about this. in the past, hasn't it been that you've been to one school and then that month you would, is this the same? Am I
No,
reading this
we've
wrong?
been doing it by grade level for the last couple of years. And we have committee, for instance, Kristen would be willing to go on a visit by herself to one of these schools, right? And
Sure, but I think what Sue might be asking is if November 5th, are we doing all 3 visits the week prior? All 3 schools?
That's my question.
well, those are all the same grade levels we're talking about, right? Yeah.
Do we want to visit all 3 in the same?
Yeah, combined. Now, unless you think the admins would rather have it individually, we could do that too.
I just wanted, I thought this was a little bit of a change from the past, but maybe not, I don't know. So November 5th, are you thinking that on the agenda for November 5th, the 3 primary schools would make their
3
presentation?
early elementary.
Okay.
It's a little
That might
bit,
be
you only
it.
had 2 last year.
That might be a bit of a long meeting, especially with policy following.
So if you remember last year, John, you only had 2 early elementary schools, so you'd have a much longer presentation.
That's why it's on the agenda. Do we want to change that? Do we want to do individual schools?
I think it would be easier to do individual schools.
You have 7 months left, so.
Well, and that's what we were going to do until a couple of years ago when we said the grade level schools. But now the problem is that we have 3 early elementary.
I think if they each took 5 minutes or so, we could have a 15-minute primary K-3 presentation, which
All
is
in
probably
favor of
what we were
brief,
thinking.
because the supporting material is always there anyway. It always comes
Yeah.
out in these PowerPoint presentations that are sent out as part of the packet.
Yeah.
People can ask.
Okay, so you would visit, the board member would visit the 3 schools the week prior and then
Somebody from,
meet that.
yeah, somebody from the committee would visit
Okay,
the schools. We could figure that out ourselves.
okay.
And then the meeting would be at Southwest.
The meeting is scheduled for Southwest anyway, conveniently. Coincidentally, that meeting is at Southwest anyway.
Okay.
Now, Sue, if there's any real problem with that, if you talk to admins and if there's a problem with that, we can change that between now and then, but it'd have to be over the next week or so.
Yeah.
So we know.
Okay, we can get it out to everybody, make sure this works, but I think it's fine.
It should work. I hope it does. Intermediate school looking good for December 3rd. That would mean we would change the December meeting from the high school to the intermediate school. Work? Yes, no. February 4th, middle school. And we are scheduled to meet at Torrington, so that would change to Torrington Middle School.
May I make a suggestion, John?
How long is it going to take?
8 seconds. Could you just line these up with the existing schedule for buildings?
Well, because we want to do grade levels sequentially, I think is why we're changing buildings. We start with early elementary and then just work our way up. Fast Academy is in between the middle and the high schools only because it leads into, that's why we do it that way, if that makes sense. Fast Academy. Fast Academy. And April 1st, THS. And again, we can always change it if there's a problem.
And just a note, John, that policy, since policy meets after, then we would need to change the location
Policy,
for
we have to
policy
do that,
as well.
yeah.
So the rest of the meetings would be where?
At the schools that they're already scheduled.
On the last page, page 20, not the
Right.
agenda page. That's right.
Yes. What's that? Going once, going twice. Topics for future meetings. We will eventually get to homogeneous versus heterogeneous movement. Unearned first marking period grades. That's something that would involve policy too. Now, we might remember history on this one from a million years ago. We had a superintendent of schools who thought that you were dooming kids to failure psychologically and statistically by giving them the grade they actually earned in the first marking period. Now, those of us who do expulsions see so many comments from teachers saying that the grade that shows, the 50, is a result of school policy. I'd like to discuss that and look at that, but I'm not sure when that'll fit on the agenda. AI concerns, that's something that we've said we want to look at. I have a workshop. I swore when I retired I'd never do this again. But I have an all-day workshop at Advance on Friday.
Is Matt Mervis doing it? Matt Mervis?
Yes.
He's amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, I could. It's possible. I expect to learn a lot. And Ed Advance does things right, so it'll be fine. It's just the being surrounded by teachers, professional development, would be really annoying. But it should be a good. Anyway, so we will get to that. I think that Gary has also mentioned, right, Gary, you still there? Gary, AI is something you're interested in looking at, right? No, Gary.
Yes, if you can hear me, yes. I don't know if you can hear me.
So anyway.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Any other things?
Okay.
Any other things we should be
He
looking
texted yes, I'm not sure if he can hear you, so.
at? Items for future. Yes, no. So what are we talking about next month?
So next month, it looks like we're gonna have the primary schools presenting, right? Because it's gonna be on November next month already.
That's right.
Yeah, because it is October 1st, right? So we're gonna have the primary schools present on November 5th, is that what that is? Yes.
High Falls Day.
Yes, yes. So I would imagine that'll be the primary item on the agenda. And then you and I can talk between then and now. We will also, the day previous, right, is election day. So we're gonna have a professional learning day all day on election day. We can give a recap of that.
We ready for community partner presentations yet, or?
Maybe by November.
Okay, I'll put a question mark after. Anything else? That'll be a full enough agenda. Might even give the elementary people a little bit more time than the 6 minutes we talked about. No, it's a shame to limit them, really, when you come down to it, because there's a lot going on, and they just want to tell us about it for all the right reasons.
Well, I think particularly this year because of the redistricting and, you know, we have a new math program. I mean, I think there's a lot to hear about.
Eventually, we will want a math program down on the topics for future meetings too. Sometime later in the year, maybe in the springtime, we've got a few months of it, to see how things are going.
Yeah,
Interested in seeing how that's working.
absolutely.
For the record, John just offered to give somebody more time to talk. I've never heard it before.
Fair point, Jeff, fair point.
Well, I do appreciate this, out of character for me. But 5 or 6 minutes goes by awfully fast when you get a principal talking about their school and what's going on with the kids and so on and so forth. And that's why we're here. That's what this committee does, you know. That's what we do.
So then that makes me think, perhaps you should do each school individually.
It's,
You decided to.
now we've been there already. We've decided we're gonna do it all together. We're gonna just bite the bullet on the, you're not gonna be here anyway, unfortunately. Well, I hope you do.
John, if it makes it easier, I can just tackle Torrington by myself. I live right
Yeah.
there and it's my
Okay.
days on school.
We'll do Torrington and then we'll worry about the other two. Bill and I will do it,
Yeah.
at least one of them, and maybe we'll ask you if you, well, we'll worry about it.
Sure,
We have
no problem.
months to deal with that, but Getting into elementary school around Halloween is always a lot of fun. Preferably before Halloween. Days too after. It's a Friday this year, it's safe. Halloween's a Friday this year. I'm sorry, I'm babbling, I'm prolonging the meeting, I don't like doing that. Comments for the good of the order? Jeff?
Great, thanks for putting all the data together and of course answering my questions, I always appreciate it. So, nice job, everybody.
Ellen?
Ditto. Thank you.
Bill?
It was a great meeting. It was, I'm excited about the prospect of the work credit presentation that was given. And I want to thank Sue for her team for her diligence in putting all the information together for the test scores. Although I have to admit, without being able to see the charts, the discussion didn't mean much to me.
Gary?
He said good meeting.
Oh, okay.
Great meeting. Thank you for the presentation on the Fast Academy Work Program. It seems like you put a lot of time into it, so thank you for that. Obviously, you're an asset to the school. And we thank you for the time that you put into it. I think it's going to be great for the kids to have that opportunity. So hopefully it works out. In terms of the test scores, again, I will say again how proud I am of every Torrington Public Schools employee. Certainly is a testament to their hard work and dedication and their love and care for every kid in this district, and their desire to see every kid succeed. So I'm proud to have my 2 kids in this district. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else.
I'd just think it's my first official meeting as a representative for the EA to school improvement, so thanks for having me.
Big shoes to fill, but you'll do it.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great meeting, thank you.
Marissa?
Good, thank you.
John? Joanne, sitting around the table tonight, thank you, good.
Thank you for letting me come to the big people table. Thank you, good meeting, and Amanda, great job on what you're doing with VAST and this work experience.
Yes.
Thank you, great meeting, thank you for your support. Amanda, nice job.
Next.
Thank you, and I look forward to talking more math with you.
All right, more math. Anna?
Thank you, great meeting, and thanks for the opportunity.
I have to give a shout out to Amanda. She is really, really infusing energy into Fast Academy. I don't even know if the woman sleeps, but she's doing an amazing job, and the kids are very fortunate to have her there. So thank you, Amanda, and thank all of you for all of your support. Aaron, thanks to Marissa for capturing all of this in the minutes. Thanks to Josh for capturing it on the big screen.
Those are the true unsung heroes over there.
Yeah, no, it's great. This is the best committee. Sorry to everybody else, but this is really what it's all about, right? People tease me because when I first became the administrator, I made a silly comment to Charlie McSpirit a million years ago about, I really thought it was going to be more about teaching and learning because, you get caught up in all the garbage, and this is really all about teaching and learning. So thank you.
I agree with your assessment of the relative importance of this committee.
Right? Yeah.
And I thank everybody who...
Not what you... Go ahead.
What was that?
Nothing, I couldn't hear. Keep going. My phone's a mess.
Thanks to everybody, not only for being here, but for putting everything together for us so we can deal with it expeditiously. And an incredible amount of work goes into, for instance, the report on the work study credits and checking with other schools and everything else, and also the state test results. And it's good to get good news on these results. Thank you. Looking for a motion to adjourn?
Second. Well, well, Gary's here, I'm just the alternate, I shouldn't participate.
No.
Aye, if you can hear me. I don't know if you can hear me, so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're